Welcome to the Little Wins Podcast, where school leaders share their little wins that build strong culture, with your host, Karen Borchert. Hello, and welcome to Little Wins, the podcast where we get to shine light on the small, intentional things school and district leaders do to build amazing culture in their school buildings. Today, we've got a story that brings us back to homegrown roots and big leadership moves. Dr. Andy Crozier is the superintendent at Central Lee Community School District in rural Southeast Iowa. And he's not just leading the district, he's a proud graduate of it. Andy and his wife, both Central Lee alums, are high school sweethearts, and his journey from student to superintendent is filled with bold decisions, visible leadership, and a strong sense of what a school community can become. From winning top workplace awards to redefining professionalism, Andy is someone who believes in culture as a strategy. I am so excited to dig in with him today. Welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Well, first, let's take us to your district. Let's start with Central Lee. What's it like to lead a district that you graduated from?
There's definitely good and bad being the hometown boy, I guess I'll say.
Okay.
The good is you do know everyone. You know their backgrounds for the most part. You know the community structures, the leverage points within the community. So those things are all great. 10 years ago when I came back, it felt like I just could hit the ground running. And now, 10 years in, I still need to access those memories or that history of people that support the district or surrounding the district in order to move this district forward. The bad is you're kind of always in the fishbowl, and that fishbowl's a lot bigger here than it is in other districts. So I've learned to balance that, but it's been a really rewarding journey for myself and for my family. This district has been incredibly successful, and so to be here and be the leader of it is definitely a point of pride for me in my career.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, take us to your district. For somebody visiting the district for the first time, what do they notice right away? What do you guys? What would you notice when you walk through your buildings?
Yeah, so when you drive to our campus, we're out in the middle of the country, so you're not like in town. You got to drive 6 miles outside of Donaldson to find our campus. But when you drive in, notice it's kind of like a college campus. We're all in one spot. So we have the high school, we have the elementary, middle school, all together, kind of separated by the football, baseball, and softball fields. The district office is on campus too, so we're a one-stop shop for parents and education. When you get into our buildings, I think you automatically feel the difference with our people, that you're welcomed. There's a lot of positive smiling faces. And for the most part, people really enjoy coming here each day. It is, we're a rural community. So you see things such as cornfields and tractors around us.
Yeah.
Our kids are leveraging those in the classroom as well. So we try to take advantage of our geographic location and our surrounding economy each day. But, I really feel like for the most part, it's a very family-like atmosphere. People look out for each other. They take care of one another when things are difficult. But they also celebrate each other when people do things well. So I do love that. We are a very unique district that, we're not located in one town. So we're made up of 4 or 5 different little towns. But if we have a successful volleyball team and we go on the road in the playoffs, it feels like the whole community is following them. So
Yeah, wow.
just a huge support system from parents to grandparents to community members. I often tell people that, we are the entertainment for our area. So on nights, like going to the basketball game, going to the football game is what they do.
Yeah.
And whether they got a kid playing, a grandkid, doesn't matter. We are the main entertainment for our area. And we always try to, make that a priority because there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. But it's also what makes great community and what makes great culture.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. And I know it was just recently homecoming. So is it the whole community come out for homecoming too?
Yeah, so our football team's not great this year, and they got slaughtered on Friday night, unfortunately. But we had a fantastic crowd, just so many people, and I was, just out mingling among the crowd, and it just seemed like I couldn't get more than 5 steps, and I'd run into somebody that wanted to chat me up, or I wanted to talk to them and say hi, and that's just a really good feeling.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. What a cool community. Well, one of the things I love about your story is that how you kind of mix ambition with humility, and in your entire story, you became a superintendent at 28 years old. That's pretty wild. But it seemed like that was, your mindset was never about chasing titles or their role or anything like that. So take us back. How did you go from teaching to becoming one of Iowa's youngest superintendents?
Oh, yeah. So, when I was 28 years old, after I had taught and also um, was in a role at the area education agency where I wasn't necessarily serving kids directly, I was supporting teachers and administrators. I just had this feeling like, hey, I'm 28. I need to be back in the schools, back around kids, back where the real work is happening, and I was actually looking to probably get back into a principal role. And Andrew, Iowa, very tiny district, K-8 district, about 250 kids or so. They posted a principal slash superintendent opening.
Okay.
Just completed my superintendent work because I thought I'm going to get this done with. We had Caden, my oldest son, was one at the time, so I was like, let's get all this graduate stuff done with while my kids are young, so I'm not missing events when they're older and being at classes. And so the position opened up, and quite honestly, like I had zero interest in being a superintendent, and I had zero interest in moving to Andrew, Iowa. But he offered a house to live in for the superintendent, and this was like
Whoa.
2000 and 2008 or no 2011, excuse me. And so the economy was great, especially the real estate economy. And so I
Yeah.
really didn't want to move to a small town and have difficulty selling a home. Yeah, a little pert, and it was kinda like, "Why not? Let's give this a shot." And I remember, like, I told my wife, like, "I'm gonna apply for this job, and, if I get an interview, great. That's really what I just want the experience," full well knowing, like, I'm probably not gonna get this. I interviewed, they offered, I turned him down, because he wanted to, kinda lowball me because I was a 28-year-old kid, quite frankly. And I remember I went to a wedding in Chicago that weekend, and on the way home, the board president called me and said, "Okay, hey, we're going to meet your ask, and we're going to offer you this." And I said, "Okay, let's go." And
Whoa.
the rest is history. So I spent 3 years just being superintendent slash principal, which was an amazing role. You did everything. I was also curriculum director, transportation director,
Oh
special
my
ed,
gosh.
all those. I
Yeah.
was a one man army in the administration there. Great
That is
people.
a crash course in school
Yes,
leadership,
great
right?
people that surrounded me. I had great mentors to help me along the way. After 3 years of doing that, the neighboring district called and said, "Hey, can we share and just have Andy be superintendent?" So, a superintendent at Easton Valley, Superintendent Andrew, and I hired a principal for Andrew to fulfill those duties. Spent 2 years there. It was a great opportunity, but then Central League came calling, and the rest is history. And so now I'm
Wow.
15 years in. I just turned 43 on Friday, so I got.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's great. So you've been in it for 15 years. What advice would you have for that 28-year-old kid at starting out? What would you tell that guy today?
Well, I would say, like, if they have ambition, like, don't ever sell yourself short on what role you can, get in the job hunting process, or even excel at once you're in the role. I think people think too many times, whether it's any role in education and probably in business too, that, um I don't have the skills to do that job, or I don't have the experience to do that job. There are so many great supports in education, especially the superintendent role or the principal role.
Yeah.
I learned from great leaders along the way, and you do have to fake it until you make it. I'm not sure when I made it
Yeah.
along the way, but now I'm still one of the younger guys in the room at superintendent meetings. But I got 15 years under my belt, and it went so fast. Uh,
Yeah.
and I had
Wow.
incredible experiences along the way. But I would always tell people, just don't sell yourself short. You probably have the skills to be successful right now. You're going to have to lean on people, and you're going to have to ask good questions along the way.
Yeah.
people are going to be there to help you.
That's such great advice. I love that. I love that. That's wonderful. Well, let's go over to the topic of school culture because you have a really cool perspective on it. You've definitely built a culture around the idea of kind of visibility and recognition. You've done some really neat things with regards to kind of seeking out some of the awards about your workplace. Tell us a little bit about that kind of award winning culture.
Yeah, I really don't know where the award-winning culture started.
Yeah.
I remember our focus when I got here was to maintain a positive culture and to elevate it. The previous superintendent before me, he was a very good person. Our styles were just different. I he was he was not an authoritarian by any means, but I think some people have a very keen focus on employee and the employee well being, where other you solely want to focus on managing the district and doing it that well. That's okay. Like everyone has different styles, but my focus has always been on, positive, happy employees because I do believe that positive, happy teachers lead to positive, happy students. That's always been kind of a cornerstone for me. So whenever we're looking at things such as policy or decision making that impact employees, like I know like we always have to be student first, and that is a value here at Central Lee. It's something that we um, hold very dear. But at the same time, like in my world, oftentimes I think of my decisions as what is an employee first or employee happy decision um, versus a non-employee. Because there are several things that we can do as a district that make it easier for the district office or make it easier on finances, whatever it may be, but are not necessarily decisions that make people want to stay here or make people want to come here to work. That was our focus early on, is just trying to deliver wins for employees, led to a more positive, happy workplace. And don't get me wrong, like you can do everything with policy and everything. If you're a jerk and you don't like people, it's going to come off as non-authentic, and it's not going to jive well. But no, being in buildings, being visible is very easy here. I talked about us all on one campus, so I see our people every day. They have FaceTime with me as much as they want to or don't want to sometimes. And I think people have always known, like, hey, if I have an issue, like, and he may not agree with me, but he's going to hear me out. And he's going to understand my perspective. And, that may not change this decision, but it could change the decision down the road. And so that's always been really important to me. But along the way, we started with this top workplace thing because we were using Intergage. That's the company that does all this workplace awards. We were doing it just to get feedback on our culture, just what our employees thought of the workplace, what changes we can make, and that led to us winning our first top workplace award. And now it's blossomed into 5 of the last 7 years. We didn't get it during the COVID year, and we didn't get it 2 years ago. And I remember 2 years ago when we didn't get it, like I was disappointed because I'm competitive and I like to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my staff was even more disappointed. Like they very much took it personally, and like, what can we do differently? But
Yeah.
where I got in front of the staff beginning of last school year after we didn't win it, I just said, listen, I own this. Like when we win, it's because of you. When we lose or we don't get this, I'll take that ownership. That's fine.
Yeah.
Why I talked about my professional growth plan. It was all focused on culture and visibility with our staff because I wanted to make sure that I was getting back to what got us to where we had been in the first place. And in the grand scheme of things, like I don't feel like the culture really dipped. We just didn't happen to win the award that year, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as we started winning these awards, then we started to see our success blossom in other areas, academically, technology-wise, music, and so now we've rallied off probably 5 or 6 different awards in the past couple of years. We got the Apple Distinguished Schools Awards, which highlights the use of technology in our district, which is a great achievement. We had U.S. News U.S. News World Report ranking this year for our high school, which
Wow.
the top 25 in the state of Iowa. And so we got to hang that banner in our gym now.
Yeah.
High school and middle school have received high performing status on the Iowa School Performance Profiles. Our high school was ranked number 3 overall. So Little Central Lee in the corner of Iowa, in the middle of nowhere, ranked the number 3 high school in the state of Iowa the last 2 years. It's so phenomenal. And then we've gotten best communities for music education. I mean, the list goes on and on. And it's been a fun ride. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Cornered that award-winning schools tagline, but we pick it up too. And it's the good thing about it is we tell people all the time, like, the awards are nice, the recognition's great, but the ultimate winner of all those things is students in our district, because that means we're doing great things for kids. So kids are winning in our district just by coming here because of some of the other things that are happening as a culture and as a system.
Absolutely. I love that. And, I know, some of those there's awards for everything, right? But at the same time, the ability to say, okay, that's true. But what this opportunity creates this sense of pride and pride of place in our school and in our district in a way that is, can really drive change and drive performance across the entire district and across your entire community. Have you seen the kind of people change either because of some of those awards and having that pride, and have you seen the way that people work change when you're kind of going back after that, like in the years that you didn't get it? Have you seen that change how people work?
So we actually do a process here called so there's a book called The Four Disciplines of Execution, and that book talks about like the process to create change, or how people essentially execute on their goals, and we really take that to heart here. So every week we are tracking our wings and our lead measures throughout the district. And what I will do is I will do a walkthrough with my curriculum director to see everyone's scoreboards throughout the district, and then we eat those out. So yeah, it's really great to see kind of the lag measure, or the result or the award at the end. We are communicating progress along the way. And so each week, everyone knows, like, hey, we met our lead measure or we didn't meet our lead measure. And when we don't meet like our lead measures, or we're not making progress towards our wigs, like, we don't beat people up on those things. We recircle the wagons. We talk about, okay, what can we do differently to be successful this week? And then to successful the next week. And so that's really the point of our process. So along the way, we have a keen understanding, I think, of whether we're having success, meeting our wildly important goal way down, or much later that spring. And so that has been probably the biggest impact on people behavior, uh, week in, week out. And we always have an academic goal and we always have a leadership goal. So, and then I will also incorporate those into what I call my personalized scoreboard, which I share with the Board of Education, that is all about the different culture things that we're doing. So those things talk about, how visible I've been in classrooms, how visible I've been in PLCs, whether I'm continuing to do one-on-one conversations with my management and administration team. And so I scoreboard all that and I share it with the board. This doesn't necessarily get public, but the sees it as kind of an accountability measure from me. So yeah, I think whenever we don't win an award, or we do win an award, those things are nice pats on the back, or allow us to kind of reflect, like, yeah, we did it. But it's all that work along the way, that people are continuing keeping a main focus for them week in and week out. And that's very intentional, from the superintendent all the way down to building to principal to PLC to department leader. It took a while to get that all in place, but it's really, we found that that's been a leverage point for our success.
Yeah, I mean, that it sounds like a lot of work to get, that kind of level of, goal setting and scoreboards and all of those things in place. What inspired you to do that work, to put all of that in place? Does that come from kind of your own the way you operate personally, or is it what drove you to that?
Well, I think the first 5, 6 years in education as a superintendent, we create goals, and first 2 months we make a lot of progress towards those, and then obviously they would fizzle out, and then to the spring, and we'd be like, okay, what was that goal? We wouldn't even know. We couldn't even articulate what the actual goal was, and so
Yeah,
I remember reading that book and thinking, man, this makes a lot of sense. A lot of the analogies were in the business world. And so I thought, like, let's see how we can implement this in school. So we started really small, just our administrative team. And then remember when we took it to the building level, like that was a kind of a culture shock. And so we had to re-emphasize to our staff because they looked at it as a major, like, oh, they're really bringing accountability to another level. Like,
oh yeah,
level. And so we had to reemphasize, like, no, this is about progress. Like, we just want to track things. We want to make it more evident that we're making progress on our goals. This is not just system. And so it took a solid 2 to 3 years for people to see how we reacted when we didn't meet lead measures week in and week out, for them to feel comfortable within the system. Now, like staff, like when I send out my scoreboards, green check marks and red X's. They don't love red X's because they're competitive too and they want to win. Um, they also know, like, carrot and stick motivation theory. Like, if they don't like the carrot, we're not going to beat them with sticks. Uh,
right, right.
so it's really a focus on growth and improvement, and those conversations about what we can do along the way when we're not successful, to make just now rather than wait till May and be like, oh wow, can't believe we didn't meet that goal and we've ignored it for 4 months.
Right. Right. What are some of the things that you are reporting out to your team on? Like, what's an example of something that's on your scoreboard that you're working on kind of week in and week out?
So on my personal scoreboard, I have so many walkthroughs that I want to do in each building.
Okay.
That's important to me because, and it's not so much about the principals will give feedback when they're with me because they'll go through with me and they'll give the feedback to teachers. But I've told staff and I've told my administration, it's really about visibility for me. It's about for FaceTime in the classroom. So that way the teacher wants to pull me aside during that 5 to 7 minutes I'm in the classroom, they can. If not, I can just see some of the great things that they're doing in the classroom. And then the PLC one is really important too, because that's, a 60-minute meeting that they're having as a grade level department that I'll pop in and I'll try to be there for 20 minutes or so. And we tell them, like, I don't care what's on your agenda. If you want to talk about something else while I'm there, that's the reason I'm there. So let's talk about what you want to talk about. And so those are really good conversations as well. Oftentimes, staff go on, we're like, we got business to work on. So, Andy, you can listen, you can chime in, but like, we don't have anything major.
We've got work to do. Yeah.
The opportunity is there for them if they want to. So I report on those things out. Our one-to-one meeting structure, I've changed up quite a bit. Like, so I have a pretty clear protocol with my team when they come in to meet with me one-on-one.
Okay.
And we take notes and we send those notes out and everything. But I've learned along the way that I have to have one solid meeting with them a month in order to ensure that we're making progress on their professional growth plan, the issues in their buildings, and also to reemphasize some of the work that we're doing as a district. And so those are important to me. And so, along the past 15 years, I have been, once again, like some of the other things when it comes to executing on goals, like you get started in the fall and you do great. And then winter comes along and things get really busy and those meetings slip away. So now I tell my secretary, I'm like, regardless of what happens, like these all have to be scheduled. Walkthroughs, PLCs, one-on-one meetings with my administrators, management, they have to be scheduled. Like, I don't care if I have 6 on the last day of the month, like they've got
You
to be
got to get them done.
got to get them done.
Yep.
Once they're scheduled, we don't rush them, and they're really good conversations. But I know my principals and my administrators They don't always love them because it does take time. They do value them because we do have some really good conversation. And sometimes it's just about hearing some of the great things that they're doing in their building or department. Other times we're talking about how to solve solve issues that they're struggling with. And sometimes it's talking about, okay, what can we do to get better as a leader, as a building, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. That's great. So how many break that down for us. So how many one-on-ones is it every month and how many walkthroughs?
Yeah, it's 9 one-on-ones
Okay.
a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when they're all 45 to 60 minutes,
Yeah, that's a lot.
and then I will do 4 to 5 walkthroughs in each building, so about 15 walkthroughs a month.
Wow.
Now, granted, I don't have to drive 10 miles to get to the high school or drive
Right?
8 miles to get to middle school. I just have to walk about 100 yards to get to the high school and about 150 yards to get to the elementary and middle school. So that's a benefit of us being all on one campus is I have very close proximity that I can get to those places pretty quickly.
Yeah, but 15 walkthroughs a month, that really changes the visibility that you have as a leader of the district. What are the effects that you see from that from being that visible and putting that much emphasis on visibility?
Well, I think the best thing that I can say about it is I see some of the great things that are happening, and then I can
Yeah.
highlight them with other people. So whether it's in conversation, whether it's social media posts, whether it's in a presentation at a conference, I've seen some of those things happen in the classroom that we're doing, and I can articulate it quite easily because I've seen it. I've been there. Uh, and so those are the things that I probably love the most. The second part is like you just get time with kids too, and
Yeah.
so it's great to see how they're doing. It's great to see what they're working on, what
Yeah.
they're excited about in the classroom, what they don't like. The kids will tell you what they don't like too.
Sure.
I my middle school visits, like I get all kinds of feedback.
Uh,
Good, bad, and ugly. But
what's a recent piece of feedback you've gotten at the middle school?
so we use the Curriculum Associates iReady platform,
Okay.
and the kids are on it. They have to do like 2 lessons a week, 30 minutes or so for each academic math and reading. And we had one kid who just told me like, "Dr. Crozier, I hate this. Like
Uh,
iReady stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, I understand you hate it." I said, "Our student achievement's never been higher, buddy, ever since we started this. So I know you don't like it, but it is making a difference on your grades, making a difference on your academic achievement." And he just gave me one of those, "Oh, okay, fine, I'll keep going."
uh, that's great. Here, thank you for your feedback. Consider it considered. That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about, we call this podcast Little Wins for a reason. We believe that school culture is really built in those day-to-day choices. I know that you have made some little changes and you do some things across the district that have a big ripple effect. Tell us a little bit. One of the things that stood out to me when we chatted was you mentioned Yeti cups and things like that. Tell me about that. Yes,
So,
there it is.
so
Perfect.
right here, as you can see, it says award-winning schools on
Yep.
there with the different logos from the different things that we've accomplished. But so we try to get our staff a nice gift every year. And so last year, when we kind of took on the tagline award-winning schools, we decided like let's get them all cups. And not to like badmouth other school administrators, but people can be cheap in education. And so it would have been very easy for us to go and buy like the $20 cups and the plastic ones that no one cares about. They throw away like 6 months later because they know it's just not a high quality cup. We didn't do that. We went and got, nice Yetis. So 45, $50 a piece. Luckily, like our FFA ag department just bought one of those laser engravers. And so they did all the engraving themselves
Oh
for
my
us.
gosh, that's
Just
amazing.
that way. But our staff love the Yeti cups. And so it's important because like when they go to meetings or they go to conferences, they take that stuff with them. And so they're sitting at the table with that on the table. And people notice the swag and the gear that our staff, whether it's polos that we bought them in the past, we this year they can choose from a book bag or a vest, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But we try to make it a big deal for them. We try not to be cheap. I've talked about with our staff, like we're in a great financial position. So to me, if I go buy them cheap stuff, it makes me look, um, uh, disingenuous to them when it comes to those facts. So, and in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't cost that much more money. So let's do what's right. Let's get them good stuff because they will appreciate it. And so the definitely is, it's not the end of the world. Like staff don't love their job because of a Yeti cup.
Right.
I think they feel just a little bit more appreciated that we value getting them nice things versus
Yeah.
so.
I think I love that. I love the overall ethos of, choosing something high quality to recognize your team because it says to them that they like it says volumes to choose the high quality thing. And then you do get benefit of that back when your team members are, they take that cup everywhere. They take it to every conference. They're out in different communities and other communities are like, whoa, that district is doing some cool stuff like that. It's without saying a word, it kind of speaks volumes, huh?
It's a recruitment strategy. Like
It is.
people that have told us, like, yeah, I saw saw your staff with the bags and the Yeti cups, like, and that immediately screamed like, I want to work there.
Oh
Uh,
man, that's amazing. If you can do that with a Yeti cup, like that's the cheapest recruiting you'll ever do.
but in education, we do things cheap all the time. Because it's just this mantra that we have. Like, I get it, like school funding is not great, but it doesn't mean we have to be cheap on everything. And when
Yeah.
it comes to our staff, like they're our number one investment. So let's spend money on them because if they leave, like that's where we struggle is when we have to replace them. So let's take care of them here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Have you gotten feedback from the staff about it? Did they kind of notice that?
My staff is always telling me ideas of things that we can uh,
Good.
get them as gifts in the future. So
Oh, good. That's great.
uh,
They've got
we always have we always have great ideas. Quite honestly, I don't have to think of things to get them. So like this year, like I'm not a tote bag guy,
yeah.
but this year they wanted a really nice tote bag, one of the offerings, and so we ended up getting a name brand tote bag and. Like it went wild in the elementary. Those elementary teachers love those tote
Oh
bags.
my man. Yeah, I mean, nobody loves a tote bag like a teacher, but a good quality one. Like, does it have a zipper? Like, this is very important.
It does.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely crucial. That's fantastic. What advice would you give new superintendents or new principals about building culture in their schools? What little win would you suggest to somebody that's new in the role?
yeah, I think the biggest thing is finding multi input modes.
Mm,
I think for the most part, people think, okay, I'm visible in buildings. That's a way of getting input. You're right. That is a way. But I also know there are some teachers that, quite frankly, don't always feel comfortable about sharing an important piece of information in the hallway or in their classroom. They'd rather do it in a more formal setting or a more private setting. So, while visibility is important, you got to find other ways to do it. So, when I look at my month, I meet with the Education Association,
mhm.
Friday of the month. That's an important meeting.
Yeah.
We have a strong education association. I have always been a supporter of them. Some superintendents want to badmouth their education association. I think that's one of the worst things you can do in education. You've
Yep.
got ways to partner with them and meet them at the table. And so we only collect a bargain like once every 2 years. So that's a very small part of our relationship. But when we get together and have conversations, we talk about things that we can do to make this place better for our employees and
Mm.
good ideas to the table. I listen to them. Sometimes I just tell them like, "Hey, I don't think I can do that. I like the idea. I just can't. I don't think I can pull that off." That's part of it. I started a superintendent advisory council a couple years ago, and we rotate teachers in and out of there each year. So we have a new group of 7 to 8 individuals that meet with me quarterly to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly in the buildings. And
Wow.
we then take that information, we report it out to staff. It's anonymous. but everyone knows the concerns that are brought up. They also know some solutions that we are considering to resolve some of the concerns. And other times it's, hey, this is just a concern and we need to recognize it, but right now we don't know how to resolve it, more or less.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of things that are involved. I think the visibility, like I talked about me going to PLCs, like find other ways to be in your district that are more than just in the hallways or in the offices or in the lunchroom. So
Yeah.
multi points of input is really important. Um, I think beyond that, the other thing I would do is just be very cognizant. Like every time you put a policy in place, whether it's an employee handbook or whether it's in board policy, um, look at it through the lens of a classroom teacher or a associate or a bus driver, uh, and try to understand like what are the ramifications for them. Um, you know, how is this going to make their job easier? How is it going to make their job harder? It's going to make their job harder. Then you got a lot of legwork to do in communicating why it's important to move forward policy wise. If it's going to make their job easier, um, you don't need to communicate as much there because
Yeah.
people will understand that. But um, we've always been very cognizant of the policy we put in place. And there's a process that we use, especially in the employee handbook, of having multiple conversations along the way to ensure
Yeah.
the changes that we make are good for the district and good for the employee at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's such good advice. Look at each thing through the lens of a classroom teacher, a bus driver, the folks that are going to be living with and working with those policies or those changes in their day-to-day job. That's excellent. All right. Well, we are at the point of our of the conversation where we always have a quick lightning round, 3 questions that kind of that close things up for us. Are you ready? Are you ready for those 3 questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. The first one is, what are the 3 words that you want to define your district's culture?
I would say trust is
Uh
one.
huh.
Collaborative is the other because I can't do this by myself. Like there's such great people around me that help and contribute to what we do. And the last one is student centered. Now I know student centered is technically 2 words, but I put the
It's okay. It's got a hyphen. We're gonna
hey,
give it to
reason
you.
is, at the end of the day, like everything we do has got to be based on students.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's great. Okay, second question. What is one little win? Sorry, what is one little win at work that you've had lately that we can celebrate for you?
We've had a lot of big wins lately.
Nice.
Um, the little win, and I talked about it earlier, is the Iowa performance profiles came out about 3 weeks ago, and all of our scores increased. Our high
Oh,
school #3 in the state of Iowa again. So like we were
so
really
good.
proud. Best scores in Lee County and Southeast Iowa. So um, not really a little win; it's kind of a big win. But just
It's a
recently,
pretty big win. I
we're
love it.
really proud of our staff and our students for those achievements.
That's so great. Congratulations. That's wonderful. All right. Last question is, what do you believe that any educator can do to improve their school culture right now?
I would say everyone everyone contributes to a positive culture. And so the attitude that you bring every day to the workplace um, makes a big impact for everyone. Everyone's heard the phrase like when the principal sneezes, everyone gets a cold. Uh,
Uh-huh.
a lot with our school administrators, but I think it's everyone. Like if one individual teacher sneezes in the hallway, like everyone gets a cold. Like
Yeah.
the attitude and disposition that you bring each day makes a difference. Sometimes you don't always see it, but your positive energy often leads to other people being more positive in the day. So, uh, those things are just they don't get magnified enough. But um, I listen to Mel Robbins every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I heard her say the other day, I love this attitude. It's find a way to be in a good mood at all times. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that we should all think about. It's hard being in public education. It's hard working in schools these days. Parents are tough. Kids are kids, but
Right.
the perception of schools today is not what it was 20, 30 years ago. So it's not an easy job anymore.
Yeah.
Um, find a way to be in a good mood no matter what's going on around you. And I think our staff does an excellent job with that. like I said earlier, happy teachers lead to happy kids. We have a lot of happy teachers around us, so it leads to a lot of happy kids, which makes this a very enjoyable place to come to each day.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. It's so fun to talk with you because you have this way of kind of connecting so many different things. It's like, you have these big goals and you do this goal setting and scoreboards, but you're following it up with these one-on-ones and these walkthroughs and this time and visibility in the buildings, which is then, leading to these positive gains and high performance, which you're then celebrating and rewarding and recognizing your staff through those, and those things just kind of create that positive feedback loop all the way around. It just is made up of so many little things that you do that add up to that big success. So I'm so grateful for you sharing your story with us, and just kind of keeping in mind that positive happy teachers create positive happy students is something I'm carrying with me for the rest of the day. So thank you so much for that, and wishing you a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a little win? We'd love to hear from you. Learn how we help schools build strong culture at getalpaca.com.